All right. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you so much for joining me on this amazing Saturday afternoon, 3 o'clock in the afternoon out here on the East Coast in Ohio. If you're just joining me for the first time ever, drop a hello. Let me know where you're chiming in from. Like I said, I'm in Ohio. It may not be the warmest day out, but the sun's shining, so we got to be grateful for that, right? So, with that being said, I am elated to be bringing on here an amazing gentleman who I literally just met. His name is Dr. Philip Zinni. He resides out in Reno, Nevada. So he just hit lunchtime. So hopefully he had his lunch before he hopped on here. But anyway, we were talking all things glutathione. As you know, I sit out here as the holistic cowgirl. I love to speak about products that I can put into not only my body, but animals and other people to help their bodies heal naturally, and especially when it's something that can put your body into homeostasis. If you don't know, herbs have been around for thousands and thousands of years, and that has been the sole purpose of herbs is to help your body hit that level of homeostasis. So what that means is you can heal. Yes, you can heal from anything. If you don't believe it, then that's probably why you've had issues getting there. There's things that come that may take longer, but just know that in your time that the healing will come in. So Mr. Zinni or Dr. Zinni, he has lived out in, well, for now I know, Reno, Nevada. He has been in practice for over 29 years. He has specialized in sports medicine, integrative medicine, occupational medicine, has experience in diabetic neuropathy. He has experience in osteoarthritis, musculoskeletal medicine, chronic pain, and prevention. Prevention is key. If you don't spend time now working on your health, you're going to spend time later on focusing on that health when it's not going to get you the best place. So with that, he opened up a clinic there 10 plus years ago, focusing on one of the molecules in our body that our bodies make called glutathione. So without further ado, I'm going to bring him on. I am going to allow him to share. I'll ask him some questions. But Mr. Zinni, thank you so much for hopping on and giving us the time today to go over this amazing molecule called glutathione.
So, where would you like to start? Because you gave me several different places to kind of enter in.
That is a great question. So I will say this. Let's start with, why is glutathione so important? Like, what made you start your clinic 10 years ago and you're like, I got to get this in, and you're using the IV technology back then. So obviously it was important. So let's start there.
Yeah. So, glutathione is, first of all, it's a product that rapidly is degraded or used in your body. So you constantly have to produce it. And at about age 20, that's when your body naturally starts producing less of it. So, as you mentioned earlier, which was a great point, and that is we find that 80% of people spend only about 20% of their healthcare dollars in the first part of their life. And I have this wonderful slide that shows this kind of steep decline. And as a result, as you also aptly stated, that the flip side, paradoxically and sadly, is that about 20% of the people then, excuse me, 80% of the people then spend 20% of their dollars, so a less amount in that early stage. Then, as they're aging and unfortunately they're on that downward spiral, that's when they notice they have to spend a lot of money. So it's the flip, it's the paradoxical. They're spending 80% of their healthcare dollars on a dwindling 20% of their life. So there's another interesting thing you brought up too, and that is the quality of life. And when you're born, that's the highest point quality of your life. And then it's kind of a downward spiral, unless you were born in the Garden of Eden. And unfortunately, we aren't. So your body is constantly exposed to free radicals. Free radicals with the first breath you take, with the first drink of water you take, with food that you ingest, just living in the environment, because again, it's not perfect. There's all these free radicals. Even if you start doing healthy things like exercise, that creates free radicals. Free radicals are what cause the oxidative stress in your body. Glutathione is the most potent antioxidant that helps to kind of neutralize or detoxify these free radicals. So this way, your body can replicate healthy cells. Your body is probably the best copy machine on the planet. and it wants to replicate cells. You're replicating about 3 million cells a second. So you want to replicate healthy cells. And if you think about it, if you put a bad copy on a copy machine, you're going to get successively, progressively worse copiers. So as a result, you want to make good copies. And that's what glutathione does. At the cellular level, it gives you the ATP, the energy, in order to help produce good copies. So you're replicating good cells. And that's every cell of the body, again, like 3 million a second. So I probably went way off tangent. So sorry about that.
No, it was great. I actually just hopped onto my Facebook on my phone to see where we're at, and my Zoom was actually locked. So now I opened it up to the public. So
Okay.
I'm so glad I looked for it. That's what happens when you start to share Zoom over to a third-party vendor. It literally locked it. It was only me. See, so now I opened up to the public. So
Okay.
if you're on, say hello. Let me know where you're coming in from. Again, we have Dr. Philip Zinni here sharing about all things glutathione. And as you heard him say, you're spending, what did you said, 80% of people.
Yeah. So about 80% of a person's lifetime is spent in, so let me backtrack.
Yeah.
So the average lifespan is about 76 years of age.
Yes.
And 80% of a person's life is spent when they're only investing about 20% of their healthcare dollar. So as a result, they're going through life, they're spending their money on everything else except for investing in their life. So that 80% of time is really when you should be spending most of your money, most of your healthcare dollar, in order to prevent aging, to prevent deterioration, to prevent the toxic effects of the environment, to reduce the oxidative stress. So you want to spend your money on the front side because that's when glutathione starts to go down. Your body's natural ability to produce it naturally goes down. So you want to start supplementing when you're younger.
So let's touch on that right there. So we hit the age of, so glutathione is a molecule our bodies already make. To me, that's one of the most amazing aspects of it. As we get older, and I think it's different from one person to the next, but from what I have researched, on average, it starts to decline at the age of 30, correct?
So in what I've seen, it could be as early as 20.
Okay.
And then at about age 40, that's when you see a sharp decline.
Yes.
So somewhere between 20 and 40, there's a decline. And again, if people aren't investing in their life when they're younger, then they're going to wake up either physically or mentally and say, oh my gosh, I've got to do something. And then at that point, they're trying to play catch up. And that's kind of hard.
Yes. And so why that is important is something that I try to get through to people. I see so many people drinking, and I get on this all the time, like energy drinks or healthy energy drinks. Like I just went to the grocery store with my son this morning, and he's like, he knows how animate I am about drinks. Because yes, water's great, but water doesn't necessarily hydrate you. And I have to preface to that too. Glutathione I have saw it actually does better when you get hydration into your body as well. So like the two mix really, really well. It helps boost the production. So a lot of times what I've noticed when you go to the store, you look at drinks and you see like, sucralose and your colors and, sugars and stuff like that. And young people don't pay attention to their health. They think, I'm just going to put feel good things in and it's not going to matter. I'll deal with it later on. I want to live my life to the fullest all the way through. So let's talk about who should use this. You started by saying it declines at the age of 20. Mm-hmm. And what does glutathione do for your body? Like when you're starting to put an actual product, we're talking about a specific product right now. We haven't even gotten there. Oh, that's backwards. Oh, well. This is a product that we just got formulated. You cannot find something like this technology-wise anywhere in the market, is from my understanding, and how it works. So let's touch on who should use glutathione and why quality matters. So you're somebody who comes from using IV, mm-hmm. and then why this technology. So we'll start with, who needs it and why.
So theoretically, anyone that's physically active should be using it because, as I said, when it wasn't being zoomed over, even doing healthy things like exercise creates free radicals, and free radicals are part of the oxidative stress of the body. So you're doing something that you think would be healthy, and it is, but you have to take care of the oxidative stress. So um, that's why I said anyone that's physically active would be benefit from the using this. So that means athletes. So even maybe high school athletes or college athletes, anyone that's competing in sports. There are elite athletes that used to get IVs. Now we can give them this glutathione product because, again, as I said, I think it wasn't recorded, was that the half-life is about 90 minutes. So in pharmaceutical mechanics, after about 5 half-life, something is completely out of your body. So even though you had a nice expensive IV, about 5 or 6 hours later, it's completely out of your body. So that's why you want to have a product that you can just twist and mist in your mouth, and then it's rapidly absorbed because of the liposomal absorption within the mouth, and it's spread within your body within about a minute. And then if you want to keep up with that kind of half-life theory, then you can even do it a couple of times during the day. And then this way, you're constantly getting glutathione throughout your body when you're doing these oxidative stress type things. So you may want to do it after you exercise. You may want to do it before you exercise. So theoretically, again, anyone that's physically active would benefit from it.
Now, somebody asked, and that's a great point because people don't think, well, I'm healthy. I don't need to take something like this. I take my vitamins every day, so I'm good to go. What most people don't realize is their vitamins are not even being absorbed into their body. They're literally peeing it and flushing it down the toilet. Like, I'm not a huge vitamin person, by the way. So, somebody asked in the questions below, what are the signs of being deficient in glutathione? They're an active guy, and I know this person in particular just got tested for high cholesterol, and he's like vegan. He can't believe that he's that way, but so I don't mean to call you out there. I didn't say a name, but anyway, what are the signs, or should you get tested, and if so, what test is it?
So there's oxidative stress tests that you can do through specialty labs. Um, so you would have to go to a integrative functional medicine physician, and then they would have to be contracted with a specialty lab. One of them is SpectraCell. There's another kind of clearinghouse of laboratories called Rupa Labs, and then a oxidative stress test could be ordered. The reason why we don't usually do glutathione testing specifically is because, as I mentioned, it's so rapidly cleared from your body, you're kind of getting a snapshot. So you don't really know if that's your baseline or if it's just because you did a twist and mist. So the best thing is to look at oxidative stress. If you want to be compulsive, you can do maybe before and after of a glutathione test and then see how your body is absorbing it. That would be the best of all worlds. Kind of expensive, but that would be the best of all worlds. And then the other thing to do is to look at inflammatory markers. And this is what I do in my integrative functional medicine practice, is that I look at inflammatory markers. Some people don't think about it, but an A1C, which is your average blood sugar over 90 days, that's an inflammatory marker, really. So you can look at A1C, you can look at C-peptide, you can look at insulin levels. All those will give you an idea about your glucose metabolism, which is a marker of inflammation. You can look at cardiovascular function, and you can look at something called an HSCRP, which is a highly sensitive cardioreactive protein. That'll look at your vascular walls. And then if you get real wild and crazy, you can look at fibrinogen levels and D-dimer. And most people don't even know about those, but we just came off of this series of 4 years of something that happened to the whole world. I don't want to get too deep into it, but you kind
Yes,
of know what I'm talking about.
yes, the
And
big C's.
yeah, exactly. So I'm seeing individuals, I call them guests in my center, in my wellness center. We're seeing fibrinogen levels that are elevated, HRCRP that are elevated. So as a result, we're monitoring all these markers of inflammation. And then if you want to rule out that it's not a musculoskeletal issue, Then you look at uric acid, you look at a sed rate, you look at a rheumatoid factor, and then you look at some kind of biomarkers like homocysteine and then folic acid and B12. When you put all these things together, and then on top of that, thyroid function, because most people I see have some type of Hashimoto's component. When you
Yep.
look at all of these markers, then you see what happens when you're taking these products, and you see those things get better.
That's a great point. And I think some people, I know for myself, when I tell somebody has oxidative stress, people are like,
Mhm.
what is oxidative stress? And I say, I'll tell you what oxidative stress is. It's super easy to understand. You take an apple, you cut it open. What happens to the apple? It turns brown. That that's oxidative stress. That's what happens to the inside of our bodies when they're not getting the proper things to heal. So when your body is inundated with oxidative stress, the rotting of an apple, whenever I would do a presentation, when I talk about oxidative stress, I cut that apple in half and I'm like, look, at the end of my meeting, you're going to watch this beautiful apple, as long as it's not totally chemicalized, going to turn brown, or the rusting or any of that stuff. That is oxidative stress. That's literally what's happening inside of your body, even if you feel great now. The precursor to literally every disease that I have found has been, I'm sure you can agree, is inflammation. Everything that you just said, you can check this marker, that marker, all of those things literally are your inflammatory markers. Somebody has asked me, what tests should we do on our hormones? Well, I don't agree with hormone testing, honestly. That's just my personal humble opinion. I'm not saying that you don't need to get it, and here's why. You just said it. Depending on what time of the day you get your blood test drawn, what did you eat before? What didn't you eat before? A lot of people want to get their cortisol. Cortisol is being talked about all over the internet right now, like everybody has the cure. And I'm like, great. Cortisol spikes at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. If you have your blood drawn at first thing in the morning, your cortisol is going to be at a weird spot. If it's going to be, you test it in the afternoon, it's a different spot. If you test it in the evening, it's going to be different spot. Same thing when it comes to cholesterol. I truly believe that, because your blood reacts just like that to the food you put into it, or even your thyroid. All of those things are reactive to what you're putting in your body if you're chronically dehydrated. So for me, testings are what you said. Pretty much for me is it's a marker. Test it, see where you're at. Not necessary to see if you're sick. See where you're at. Start taking this. This is a product. Ooh, I have my blurred thing on. This product here is why I came here. They have an amazing. I started my whole industry in this space with CBD, which is interesting because CBD makes your body go into homeostasis. That's healing. That's a state that people can't get into by certain foods. So I would love for you to share why this, because you do IV glutathione for over 10 years. You charge, I mean, I don't know if you're allowed to say how much, but let's just say you charge several $100s. Probably some people have spent upwards of $2,000. I even read, like some celebrities, taking an IV glutathione that lasts, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, 3 to 4 days is what I've read. The glutathione will stay in your system 3 to 4 days after an IV injection. Again, you're the expert, not me, but that's what I read. Why
Yeah,
this?
yeah. So again, in the pharmaceutical world, there's a term called pharmacokinetics, and pharmacokinetics is just a fancy word for how fast does something get broken down in the body. And the pharmacokinetics of glutathione is 90 minutes. That's the half-life. So that means that in 90 minutes, half of it's going to be gone. And again, in pharmacokinetics, 5 half-lives is when it's completely cleared out of your body. So theoretically, that IV glutathione is completely cleared out of your body in about 5 or 6 hours. So I'm not sure where 3 to 4 days came up. Uh, yeah,
Maybe the effects, maybe because like a lot of celebrities, that's what they would do right before they go to one of their award shows. Maybe they had the idea that it made their skin look better for their show. I don't know, or hydrated, or extra
yeah,
immunity.
yeah, so it does help out with cellular hydration. It does help out with skin elasticity. So maybe it does for them, and it gives them a glow, or maybe it's just the Oscar glow. I have no idea. So, but the pharmacokinetics is that it's 5 half-lives, 5, 6 hours. So that's why you want something that's nanoemulsified, that's rapidly absorbed, that's bioavailable, so that this way, when you just twist and mist it in your mouth, it gets rapidly absorbed into the mucous membranes. And then from there, it gets within the body within about a minute. and then it's dispersed through the lymphatics, through the vascular system, and it goes everywhere. So when you think about it, the best way to get something into your system is through the lymphatics. You could aerosolize it, but people would choke and gag, so that's not a good idea. So the best way is just to spray it and mist it in your mouth, so that this way it gets rapidly absorbed into the lymphatics, into the vascular system, and then it goes to town throughout the whole body. And that's what makes this product different from
So what
everything.
makes this one different from some that just have they put it in their mouth, it's a liquid, and they swish it around? I've seen a couple of those. My understanding, the technology behind this one is
Yeah, so that's
but I haven't hit on why.
Yeah, so that and I probably said it too fast. So there's a nano emulsification, which means that you're getting a particle down to a size that can fit between the cell membrane channel. So this way, it's rapidly absorbed into the cell. And when we add on the micronutrients to it, then it becomes attracted to the cell. So the cell actively pulls it in because of all the micronutrients that are in it. So not only is it nanoemulsified, so it's made into a nano-sized particle that could easily go anywhere in the body, but now with all the micronutrients that it's coupled with, the cell wall, which is an active gate, if you will, says, oh, I like that. I want that in. So it's kind of like going to the toll gate, and the toll gate arm is already up. And it's like, okay, come on in, because the gate's open and I'm here, I'm driving, so I'm going through. So it's the same thing with that, as opposed to anything else that you have to swish in your mouth, hope that maybe some of the enzymes in the mouth break it down, or some of the products that are ingested, and then you hope that the stomach will process it in a way that it could be taken up and then assembled and reassembled into something that the body can use. Whereas now you're getting the end state in a size that the cell could accept and looks like something that they want to accept and actively attract it in. That's the big difference.
So what I'm hearing you say, it's literally down to the size, because I think some of them are
Right.
also liposomal, which when anyone says liposomal, what that means is it's a fat source, and your body will absorb something that's attached to a fat source better than something that is not. So as opposed to, there's so many capsules on the market right now that say that they have 200, 500, 2000 milligrams of glutathione. And why that is because if you swallow the capsule, your body, you're hoping that some of it gets into your system, because your digestive system is going to wreck it to pieces, and you're more likely not going to absorb any. You may absorb some, but not near like this where you spray and mist. Now you touched on really quickly the micronutrients. This to me is key, because everybody talks about detoxing. Right now it's huge. Like, I don't know if you follow the moon cycles or parasitic stuff like that, but like March is the worm moon. That's what the full moon is called, and that's going to happen on Monday. And so cleansing your body of parasites and toxins and heavy metals and things like that, I think it's very important that people know as well that this mist not only has the glutathione, but it has these particles. Can you touch on what is in there and why?
So the various trace minerals and vitamins are in there, again, to help out with the absorption and the transportation of it into the cell. And the whole idea about size matters. We're America, and usually bigger is better, but
Yes.
this is the complete opposite. And in this case, smaller is better. And that's where nano is important. And on the website, there is a great picture of a replication of the size. And when you look at it, it's kind of hard to even comprehend the size of this. And because of that, that's why it is rapidly taken up into the body. The other thing that you mentioned, and I just had a guest yesterday that came in for parasites specifically, and we went through a whole detoxing program. And again, the glutathione is just a foundation of that. It's just one component of that.
Yeah, so glutathione's job in our body is to detox. It's basically what it is to pull out all the bad and create good cells. People don't realize that if you get your body down to the cellular level, your body is going to heal. This is how it is. You get healthy cells, healthy body. And when you see somebody who has beautiful skin, beautiful hair, their vitality is just amazing. It's because they have cells that really work well. So let's talk about glutathione. Speaking of, we're all mammals here. Every living creature has certain things in their body. Let's talk about animals. Everybody that follows me knows I have dogs, I have horses. Why would an animal want to take this particular product? What would it do for them?
So that's the beautiful thing about animal usage, if you will. They can't really tell the difference. So you're not going to get a placebo effect.
Mm-hmm.
And again, they're a mammal. So for the most part, their system is similar to a human system. And especially with equines, they're such a large animal that their weight distribution, their biomechanics, and disclaimer, I am not a vet. I don't know that much about animals, except for the fact that horses are very large animals, and biomechanically, it just seems like everything shouldn't work because you have this huge mass and you have these kind of spindly type legs. So anything that you can do to preserve the function, that you can preserve blood flow, you can help the healing aspect, especially as you get more distal or more towards the hoof, the better off you're going to be. So again, the same detoxing that happens in a human mammal is going to help in an equine mammal or in a domestic cat mammal.
Yeah, so it's interesting. So I'll give you some idea about horses. Horses are herbivores. So when we give them herbs, they actually respond 10 times more than a human does. So their dosage isn't any more than what I would give a human, to be honest with you. I found that out with the CBD. I found that out with several herbs that I have used on them. So it's interesting that you could use the same monthly supply of this with horses like you can people. I haven't done it yet, so I'm excited to give it a go and see what happens. So I think we're gonna, wrap it up here so we don't have people. So one person did ask, we're not here to diagnose, treat, or cure any diseases. I'm gonna give you that precursor. I haven't done so yet. They're asking about a particular health issue. It has to do with sugar. They want to know what they would take for that, and maybe would glutathione help somebody balance out their sugars?
So theoretically, if you can help to detox the body, reduce the inflammatory state, and usually that's what pre-diabetes is. Some people are even thinking that Alzheimer's is type 3 diabetes.
Yep, I just read that whole article.
Yeah, yeah. So, and it's all an inflammatory state, if you will. Unfortunately, I'm old enough to remember what the map of morbid obesity looked like in the United States back in the 60s and 70s. You had a few states, and sorry for anyone that's in Alabama. It was Alabama. And then next, I think, was Arkansas and Mississippi. So it was the deep South where they deep fry everything. But then, horrifically, you noticed every decade you see this kind of red wave because that's what they used. And then they had to come up with a new color because people were getting even more morbidly obese. And I think it's up to like this deep dark purple now. So again, obesity is just the outward sign of inflammation. And most people, if you look around you, have some type of inflammatory component. So if you can control inflammation, if you can detox the body, then theoretically it should work. I know we're concentrating on glutamist, but we do have another product called xanthomist.
Yes, yay, you beat me to it. I was going to ask you about the xanthomist, what you think of that one.
Yeah, so I do mentor a diabetic group, and what we've noticed in the diabetic group with the xanthomist, so there are about 200 plus xanthones known, and the mangosteen fruit has about 70 of them. So it's the most xanthone-rich fruit. That's why it's called the queen of xanthones. It's the most xanthone-rich fruit. And you're a herbologist, so I'm preaching to the choir. Sorry.
Me, no, but my audience is not. So keep going.
Okay. So, so the beautiful thing about this is that it has all these anti-inflammatory components. And One of them is polyphenols, and they found that it was back in the 20s or 30s, I forgot when it was. They did some studies and they found out that there was a group of people that were being exposed to these polyphenols that could not gain weight. No matter how much calories they consumed, they just could not gain weight. And then they zeroed it down to the polyphenol, and it's the same type of polyphenol that's in mangosteen. So what I found is that mangosteen creates this kind of, and there's a term called a chemical bypass. So you've all heard about surgical bypass, so whether it's gastric bypass of a sleeve or whatever, that's kind of a surgical procedure. Whereas what this does through a chemical type of bypass, it tells the cells, hey, you don't really need all the sugar that's coming into your body. So it creates this kind of chemical bypass. So it helps out with reducing blood sugar, which then helps reduce weight. So it's one way of reducing weight. And what I've seen in my diabetic group is that their A1C has come down, blood sugars have come down, the use of medications have come down. And if you can control blood sugar, which means now you're not telling the body to produce as much insulin, and insulin is just a huge wrecking ball of
Oh,
a
don't
protein
even
that
get
makes
me
it
started on that one. I mean, I have told so many people that it's so overprescribed. Again, I'm not a doctor,
yeah,
so I'm allowed to say that.
yeah, no, you're spot on. So some people think, well, I got my blood sugar down, so that's why my peripheral neuropathy got better. No, it's because you're reducing the amount of insulin that your body's producing. So you're not having this huge wrecking ball of an insulin molecule going through and tearing up all the little capillaries, which is preventing blood flow to your nerves, which is preventing the nerves to heal. And that's why your neuropathy is getting better because the nerves are healing. So, but the end result is it seems to get them better. And then we also see their markers get better. So the A1C get better. Their, like I said, blood sugar got better. And then also thyroid, some of their markers got better, like TPO and thyroglobulin antibodies they'll get better too. So we're seeing all these inflammatory markers get better with the xanthomist.
So let's touch on that one as you. So people wanting to know, we talked about glutathione. I didn't even put it in my thing. We're talking about a mangosteen product,
Mhm.
and this, like I've heard and read that you should megadose like your first while, correct? On it.
So
And
yes
this
and
is equivalent to 4 bottles of mango juice, correct? Like in this little
yeah,
vial.
yeah, yeah. So and that was one of the big things that we talked about again because of the bioavailability and the nanoemulsion of it. So if you can, you should try to load with it.
Load.
And
That was the word I was looking for.
yeah, yeah, and the only reason why I say if you can, and there's a caveat there, is because sometimes people will go through a detoxing type of phenomenon, and with that detoxing type phenomenon, they'll have flu-like symptoms. Well, they'll feel kind of achy. They may have a slight rise in temperature. They may feel a little bit more tired. They may have flu-like symptoms, but that's a kind of a detoxing phenomenon. And in all my experience, it's only lasted at most 3 days. Usually it's about 24 hours. So if you can kind of power through it, then load and go. But if
Drink
you
more
can't power,
water. If you're going to start anything, I tell people, you know what? If you're going to start a new supplement, something that is planned that could possibly detox you, double your water intake. And whatever that means to you, if it means pure water, great. If it means adding more tea or whatever electrolyte drink you love to drink, double it up because that'll keep you from getting the detox effects. And then this thing here, like he's talking about, again, I have the blurred version on. So you twist this thing up, and I took 4 this morning. So allergy season's coming up. Like everyone keeps talking about allergies, and that's inflammation and histamine. This does all that. So I'll let you keep talking about what the xanthomist does, and I'll demonstrate. So you keep going on what mangosteen or why this.
okay,
Go
okay.
ahead, keep sharing on this level.
Yeah, so the other interesting thing that I've seen with our group is that it's helped out with blood pressure. Um, And the interesting thing is I've seen people have their migraines reversed with it because it does have a cardiovascular effect. Um, so again, as you so aptly said, we're not here to mitigate, treat, or diagnose anything. Um, and you should talk to your own primary care physician, whatever. But this is what we've seen, and you can go to our testimonial page, and there's numerous testimonials about how it's helped a variety of issues, including skin lesions. And I've seen this with myself. Some people will get like solar keratoses. It's that little kind of that wax on kind of sticky, scrapey type thing that's on a sun exposed area of your body. And I've used it on those areas, and it's helped
So
resolve
topically, you've
those.
used it, what, like on skin tags? I don't know that I know what you're talking about.
No, not a skin tag. So a solar keratosis is that kind of raised flat area that maybe feels a little bit rough,
Mm,
or it may feel kind of waxy to the touch, and it's always on skin areas of your body. So again, make sure you're following up with a dermatologist to make sure that you don't have squamous cell or melanoma or
okay.
something horrendous like that. Um, but if you notice something that's been there for a while, it's not really changing, it's not really changing in colors, and you've seen a dermatologist and they said, yeah, it's nothing, you can try this, and it may help you out.
So yeah, so in a nutshell, basically what we're talking about is two different products. We're talking about the glutathione product, which is xanthomist, not glutamist, and
Loomis.
then xanthomist is the mangosteen. I got introduced to mangosteen juice about a year ago,
Mhm.
and I noticed nothing taking the juice, to be honest with you, but a lot of people did. A lot of people that use it said it helped them with their allergies and pain. It actually made me have worse allergies. So I don't know. I was like, am I allergic to mango? I don't know. But noticing this, my son suffers again. I'm not going to necessarily diagnose, treat, or cure. He has that aspect pretty bad, and he's been on this now. I'd say today is a week. Today's a week. We got it last Saturday, and it's pretty interesting what's going on. So I'm anxious to see how it goes as we bud. We actually got dropped. So it's the technology. This is a nano-sized mist in these two products that basically gets into the cells immediately. You heard it right from Dr. Zinni himself. He is somebody who does IV treatment. And in his treatments, you know, a couple $100, some people charge a couple $1,000 for those IV treatments that he says can stay in your body for 3 to 4 hours. Some say 3 to 4 days. I don't know. Anyway, everybody said something different. But the after effect of taking these products is getting your body getting rid of oxidative stress, which is basically rusting on the inside, getting out of that inflammation state, getting out of that feeling of not feeling so well. So many people want to just feel good. And when you can add a simple system to your body, which is a couple sprays, literally have little to no taste, in my opinion. You let it sit in your mouth, it goes right into your body. For me, I could feel it immediately. I'm very in tune to my body. Maybe some people aren't, but it was like a brain fog just lifting. And the longer I'm on it, it seems like the better I feel. If you lift weights, I'm not as sore. If I go for a horseback ride, I'm not as sore. And even this week, that's what I've noticed. So, with your expertise, I am so grateful and honored that you took the time on this Saturday to share with us. Because for me, it gives validity to a product, to have somebody of your level, your expertise to come on and say, you know, yes, I do glutathione injections. I know the bioavailability of the IV injection, but I still offer this to my patients. And this is why. Like, why would you say in your clinic, you're giving an IV, why do you still give them this?
So I want them to have something every day, because again, it's the bioavailability of it, and it's the fact that your body is constantly underneath oxidative stress. So you can't come in for an IV every day. Not only is it expensive, but I mean, we try to be as painless as possible, but it's you're getting a needle stuck in your arm. So if you can do something that's non-invasive, that's cost effective, that you can do every day, and you can attack the problem from both sides, right? So glutathione helps out intracellularly. It helps within the cell at the cell level. And then the mangosteen helps everything on the outside of the cell going into the cell. So you're kind of attacking the problem on both sides. So that's why we call it the dynamic duo, because you're helping the whole cellular milieu, the whole kind of cellular environment from the inside out and from the outside in. And that's really the best way to look at it.
Awesome. So again, thank you, Dr. Zinni, for hopping on with us today. I appreciate it. And I appreciate all of the invaluable information you shared today. And if
You're
anyone has
welcome.
any questions, let me know. You can reach out to Mr. Zinni. He says he has Facebook, but he's not really on it. He's not a social media person. He's more so into belly to belly kind of connections, which is awesome. I can't wait to meet you in person someday. This is great. So again, thank you everyone for hopping on. I can't wait to connect you and answer all of your questions about glutathione. And until next time, everybody, bye for now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.